Okay, so I started making Pong by creating the game manager and score zone scripts. The game manager script handles the basic functionality of the game. It handles player movement, it handles score, it handles UI text. The score zone script is going to handle when the ball scores, it's going to handle resetting the match, it's going to handle just the basic stuff. So I create those by just writing in the project view and going down to create C# script, and I open them in Visual Studio. I start out with the game manager script. Let me explain the functions. The start function is called the very start of a scene. It's only called once per game object, but it's called for every game. It's called for every component that has the start function in the game object. In the update function, well, you can see the comment. Okay, first things first, I start actually typing the script by declaring the variables and making a method that actually allows me to assign the score variables. Pretty much it has two parameters, very simple stuff. You can pass in score 1, pass in score 2. I will connect this with the score zone script later on in the video. Then I just do a simple assignment and something like I'm going to make it so that the score text is updated, so I'm going to use the text component that's located within the Unity Engine.UI namespace, which is why I imported that earlier. So I create those two score texts, and I'm going to reference them and assign their text value to the string version of the player one score by just using the toString method, which will make it return as string value. Okay, now once I have that, what I'm going to do next is just make it so that you can actually move the balls and paddles. So we're going to be moving the balls and paddles through physics, which means it's going to be using the rigid body component. As we are doing a 2D Pong, I'm going to change the rigid body to rigid body 2D later on. But rigid body is what I typed currently. So just wait a bit, it'll fix itself. Now, we're going to want the constant ball speed, so we're going to create a variable called ball speed that will be the speed of the ball. I know, complicated. Now, we're going to use that by doing ball rigid body dot velocity is equal to ball rigid body dot velocity dot normalize times ball speed. So what this will do is it will cap the magnitude of the ball's velocity at 1, so it's always going to be 1. And it will multiply by ball speed. So that means the velocity is going to retain its direction, and it's always going to be the size ball speed. It will always be going at the speed of ball speed. And then for the paddles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a new vector 2 where I'm going to pass in the input axis horizontal 1, input axis horizontal 2 for paddles 1 and 2 respectively, multiplied by the paddle speed, so that you can control the paddles using the input axes that we define later on in the video. Input axes is basically just return a value from -1 to 1, any decimal value in between those two. Okay, now once I've done that, we need to actually define the bounds. So you don't want the paddles just going left and right linearly, going on infinitely. So we clamp the bounds by using mathf.clamp, which will ensure that it stays within the minimum and maximum bounds. We do that for both, and then once we do that, let's just wait until I finish that. And now, once we do that, we're probably going to create the coroutine for starting matches. But this takes me a bit, so let's just wait. Oh yeah, coroutines are Unity's way of doing concurrent programming. Concurrent programming means doing things at the same time. However, the difference between concurrent and asynchronous programming is asynchronous runs in parallel, while concurrent just delays the running. So nothing overly complicated. So now I'm still clamping the values, and let's keep on waiting and waiting and waiting. And here we go. So I add the set score to the start function, which will make it so it immediately assigns the value of the score to 0 at the start of the scene. So as soon as you start playing the game, it'll do that. Then I create a start match function. This will allow you to actually start match. It'll handle things like resetting the score, resetting the ball position, waiting for the ball to actually work. And here's where I start the coroutine, like I said earlier. I start a coroutine called match delay. So coroutines have to be defined by making a function of type IEnumerator. IEnumerator is a special type within the .NET framework. It requires a special return value, which you define by doing yield return new. And as you guess, because of the name yield, it means to wait. So it waits until the condition that you define it with is good. So I'll use wait for seconds as soon as I actually get around to typing it. I'm currently just not doing anything in the editor, but we'll get there. Just wait. Have patience. This will give you some time to copy stuff down. Okay, here we go. So I declare a coroutine called matchDelay of type IEnumerator. It's just a standard function. Type in yield return new wait for seconds. Wait for seconds is the Unity function that you need to use to wait for seconds. It's Unity time, not real time, so don't worry about like freezing time in Unity. It will be good if you pause the game. And then I make it so it resets the ball position to 0. It should reset the velocity, but I don't know that quite yet. That's a bug that I correctly throw on the video. It's going to reset the paddle's velocity positions to 0 on the y-axis, not 0 on the y-axis, 0 on the x-axis, or both, so they're just clamped in the center. I'm going to create an in-control variable, so that way when the match has not started, you cannot actually control the paddles, because you don't want to start a match and have your paddle all the way to the right of the screen and the ball just flies down to your score zone. That's just no fun. So then I do just assignment and a few if statements, and there we go. And now we wait some more. Again, velocity is a vector 2, which basically means it's something that has magnitude. Well, it's a vector. You should know what the vector is. Something that has magnitude and direction. And now here's me assigning the positions back to 0, like I said earlier. Nothing overly complicated. And I just copy and paste. As you can see, if you look back in the update function, I actually make a bug. The second paddle 1 rigid body should be paddle 2 rigid body, because currently what's going to happen is I was going to clamp paddle 2 at the same spot as paddle 1. That's my bad, but I fix it later on. So let's see, and that's just about done. And is it? Oh no, here's where I add the conditioner to make sure that you can control the paddles if the match is not started. Because again, you do not want to be able to control the paddles if the match is not started. It's how you end up with bugs that aren't actually bugs. It's just you being an idiot. Or rather, me being an idiot. So the score zone is very simple. It has a player 1 boolean and a reference to the game manager. Script. So there's only going to be one game manager in a scene, and you'll find that through the find object type. And I'm going to explain the onTrigger entity. So the onTrigger entity is a Unity specific function that will be fired whenever an object enters the triggers or a trigger zone on this game object or any of its children that don't have rigid bodies. So here's where I assign game object. Find object of type just returns the first game object that has the component game manager. And now I'm going to do a comparison check to make sure that any letters that enter are actually the ball, so we don't waste processing time going over like the walls. That'd be pointless. It also would cause errors because they don't have the right values, and it would cause bugs because, well, yeah, it would cause bugs because we don't want to increment the score if the wall touches the score zone. Only if the ball touches the score zone. If it's a score zone for player 1, then it's going to increase player 2's score by 1. If it's a score zone for player 2, which means player 1 is equal to false, it's going to increase the score for player 2 by 1. I mean, player 1 by 1. My bad. And now here's where I type that out. Standard if else statement. You've read the notes, you know what this is. I mean, hopefully. If not, just ask. Okay, now I'm going to also add a start match to this, because remember, whenever you score a goal in Pong, you want the match to restart. And it takes me a little bit of time to do that because I think I get stuck on my phone. But here's where I shuffle around the position of the statements so they actually make sense when you play the game. As you notice, I never actually stop the ball from moving. So that's my bad. Here's where I stop the paddles from moving. So that's better than nothing, I guess. And now let's wait a little bit longer, and here we go. Here's where I copy that into the score zone script to restart the match whenever the ball goes through the score zone. Start match, and there we go. Also, I can only do that because the start match is a public function. If it was a private function, I cannot do that. So now what I'm going to do is, now that I've done basically all the code, I'm going to actually start setting up the scene. So first things first, I make the background black so you have nice contrast because that blue color is hideous. Then I'm going to create the sprites I need. I need a square, I need a circle, so I need a square for the ball. I need a circle for the ball. I need squares for the paddles and for the walls. I'm also going to create a tag called ball because, as you see, if you go back in the videos, you can see the compare tag. That's what I'm referencing, the tag component in the inspector, or the tag field in the inspector. So I'm going to add a circle collider to the ball because the ball is a circle, or at least a circle is a circle, and you need to make it so it can collide. Then I'm going to reduce the mass to 0.00001 because that mass is negligible and won't really take into account. And I'm going to create a physics 2D material because physics 2D materials handle how physics are handled, or rather handle how collisions are handled. So if you set the bounciness of a physics 2D material to 1, that means it will return all the force that collided with something and use that to repel itself. So basically, it just doesn't slow down at all. So now that I've done that, I'm going to start creating the paddles. And I'm first going to create the first one is going to be a square. I'm going to resize it. I make sure to assign ball because I forgot that earlier. So remember, actually not box sliders 2D, because box sliders 2D have a perpendicular force normal, and that's good, that's what you're supposed to do. But we want a force normal that's like sloped so the ball can bounce off the paddle at certain angles. Because if it was just a standard box, it would just keep bouncing up and down. That'd be a very boring game of Pong. So I make an edge collider, I adjust the edges, I adjust the size, and I adjust the points. And as you see here, I make it into a triangle. Well, a triangular shape, kind of. So that way when the ball collides with it, it will bounce away from those sides. Also, make sure the freeze position and make it so gravity has no effect. This just makes everything easier. So that doesn't have to fall, and there's no excessive physics. So then we make the game manager. I just named it ball manager for some reason. I think I'm going to fix that. I might not. Just drag the component on. Here's where I fix the name. And from here, we're going to start creating the UI. So first, we're going to want to create a text component for the player 1 score, and then we're going to size that position accordingly, anchor it in place so that UI doesn't, well, so this location does not change regardless of UI scale. And make sure it's white so it's easily visible against the black background. And I'm going to assign it, after putting a player 2 script, I just duplicating it. I'm going to assign that into the game manager field in a bit. But first, I have to do this. So here's where I anchor it, and just drag them in. That easy. Then I just drag in the ball, and I drag in the paddles, and I just do a simple rotation and translation to fix paddle 2, so I don't have to like mess around with the points again for the edge collider. And remember, if it's a 2D plane, only the z-axis matters for rotation, at least for if you're using an x and y 2D plane. And I find the bounds by just moving it all the way to the right to see how far it can go. And I determined that 7 is a good value by just doing this. And I realized, hey, wait, I need to have walls. So I'm going to add walls in a second after I add those bounds. So -7, 7, match today, just random numbers, ball speed, just random numbers. Player scores have to be set to 0, so you don't start out with, well, points, you don't want to start that with points. That doesn't make sense if you do. So now here's where I reposition the paddle, and I should get started on making the walls here. Yes, I do. Okay, so I get started with walls. I just make a new sprite, name it left wall, increase its size, drag on the square sprite, and there we go. We're done. This one we can do a box either, no problem, because things already have velocity when they bounce against it, so they're just reflect off. No problem. I position this accordingly. It should be on the very edge of the screen, and I make sure it's at the 16:9 aspect ratio, or else you're going to have issues with this, because the screen will be resized at a different aspect ratio, because the camera resizes itself, which is a bit of a pain to work around with, but it's fairly easy to fix. So now here's where I make the score zones. I'm going to make the player 1 score zone. First, I make it a trigger zone by just checking up is trigger checkbox in the collider, and I make sure to check player 1 because this is the player 1 score zone as it's underneath the player 1 paddle. The player 2 score zone will be very similar, just be above the player 2, and I'm going to have player 1 checked. Also, I make sure to increase the size of the box until just not touching the walls, because just in case. I do 16.9 because the walls are 18 units apart, and they have a 0.5 border on each, so just give it a bit of buffer space. And uncheck, and what did I say? That easy. So now I'm doing a last minute check, making sure everything's the right size. I don't like the size of the bowl, so I just fix that real quick. Oh yeah, make sure that your camera is set to orthographic. Just saying that loud. I drag on the console view like here, because sometimes in Unity you get a bunch of random errors which aren't really your fault, it's just the editor misbehaving. So here's where I discover the bug with my paddle script earlier. It's in the game manager, and you'll see it. I correct it right about now. See paddle 1 rigid body, transform position. It should be paddle 2 rigid body, transform position. So that's just a simple typo. No actual problem. I double check stuff just to make sure it's good. It's not actually good, I just haven't noticed a second problem. You'll spot it in a second when I play it again. But I make sure to actually define input axes. So do that by going to Edit, Project Settings, Input Manager, and just duplicate horizontal twice, make a horizontal 1, make a horizontal 2, increase the sensitivity and gravity so you have nice tight controls, because if you have low sensitivity and gravity, it takes forever to go back to 0, and that makes that each control is getting very, very floaty, and that just feels bad. Left and right refer to the left and right arrow keys. The A and D are just obviously the A and D keys on your keyboard. There we go. Play, and now if I score, you will notice an issue, and here it comes. Yes, there we go. The ball's velocity is not reset. So I'm like, wait, what just happened? Why is this happening? Now, this is obviously non-intended behavior, so we fix that by going down, looking at the match delay function, like, hey, what's up with this? And we fix it. And then I fix it by just making sure that's affected. That velocity set to 0. I mean, you don't need to remove times ball speed, but do it anyways, just so this isn't confusing. Because 0 times anything is still 0. And I play it again, and here's where I'm going to disable Gizmos, I think, in a bit, because Gizmos are like the white lines you can see in the top right box that forms. Yeah, that's just like the editor drawing stuff over from the scene view. It's not actually there in the game view, so when you actually build this game and play it, it won't appear. But while you're in the editor, you'll see it, and that's just annoying. It's helpful for debugging stuff. But there we go, we're done.